Hi, guys. This is chapter 21 in Framed. So I don't know how many people have actually been watching these, but if you have been, or if you are listening in on the book and wanting to find out how it's going, we are on chapter 21 and it's titled Back to School. So I hope that you guys are doing well. I miss seeing you still. And yeah, I guess we're not going back to school yet. And yeah, let's find out how things are going for Florian. It was the first day of school, and Mom wanted to drive. This had nothing to do with her being worried about Nikolay Nevrescu, and everything to do with the fact that she's a mom and thinks I'm still in kindergarten. It's less than a mile away, I said. I can just walk with Margaret. Why don't I drive Margaret too? She offered. Because then her mother will feel left out and she'll want to drive, I answered. We'll end up with two cars when we don't need any. Okay, but if I don't drive, then I get to take a first day of school picture in front of the house, she said, suddenly turning it into a negotiation. And one with a real smile, not the I'm 12 and hate having my picture taken pretend smile. I carefully considered her offer. Are you going to post the picture online? I'm going to post some picture online, she said. It will either be this one or that adorable one of you as a baby dancing in a diaper. I'll let you pick. She's a tough negotiator, my mother. All right then, I said, cutting my losses. Let's take some pictures. I posed for a few solo shots and a couple more with Margaret. Once Mom was satisfied, Margaret and I started walking. We'd made it to the end of the driveway when Mom called out random encouragement. Seventh grade will be seventh heaven. Be your true self. I love you. I turned to face her. See, now that's why you can't drive me on the first day, Mom, because you say stuff like that, out loud, where people can hear. I know, it's just that I care so much. I know you do, Mom. Don't worry, Mrs. B, Margaret said. I'll keep an eye on him. We waved goodbye and started down the sidewalk. Although I can't be certain Mom didn't secretly follow us in her car. Sorry about that, I said to Margaret once we were far enough away. Are you kidding? She replied. At 7:15, I was in the middle of a video chat with my grandmother so she could see my outfit. It's always hard to start at a new school, but at least it wasn't in the middle of the year. We moved to London in February, and that was a total nightmare. I got the worst seat in every classroom and never really found a group of friends. This time I had high hopes. I also had Margaret helping guide the way and answering any questions, like when we walked through the front door and I saw the security setup. Metal detectors and x-ray machines? I asked. Is this an everyday thing? She shrugged like it was no big deal. You get used to it. They use them throughout the district. The school's safe, isn't it? Totally, she said. Besides, this will help keep out any strangers, like the Romanian mafia. I laughed. Well, when you put it that way, I guess it's a good thing. Because Deal was so large, each grade was split into teams of 5 teachers and about 100 students. The teams were named after major international cities, and we were assigned to Team Cairo. Margaret and I had 3 classes together: English, Ancient History, and Algebra. But more important, we were both in the same lunch. Breakfast may be the most important meal of the day, nutritionally speaking, but lunch is the one that matters the most when it comes to socializing. It really helps to have a friend. The biggest struggle I had that first week had nothing to do with schoolwork or making friends, and everything to do with coming back to reality. I just spent a summer during which I went to the FBI Training Academy, helped discover a spy ring trying to infiltrate the CIA, and been part of the investigation into nearly $100 million in stolen paintings. And now I was a 7th grader. Just a 7th grader. I was a normal kid in a class full of normal kids, and I couldn't even tell anyone about all the cool adventures. My English teacher asked us to write about what happened over the summer, and I couldn't think of anything interesting that hadn't been classified by the government. The most exciting moment came on Tuesday afternoon when Margaret and I were walking home from school. She kept a constant lookout for anyone suspicious and was certain the man in the slow-moving Volkswagen was an EEL operative. When he stopped and got out of his car, she was prepared to, as she put it, unleash the fury of my kung fu. Luckily, she managed to stop herself when we realized he was delivering a pizza to the house we were standing in front of. Do you normally unleash that power with or without pepperoni? I asked, as we both struggled to keep a straight face. By Friday, even she was no longer concerned about the Romanian mafia. On Saturday afternoon, I was in full sprawl on the couch watching television when Mom asked me if I had any homework. 5 pages of algebra and 500 words about my summer, I said. How close are you to being done? She asked. I smiled. I've got the whole weekend to do it. I haven't even started. She gave me that mom look and said, Too bad. Why? I asked. Because our deal was that you couldn't save the country until after you'd finished your homework. I shot upright on the couch. What? Is there work for me to do? Detective work? She held up 2 manila envelopes. Agent Rivers had these dropped off today. Let me see them, I said. She held them out for me, but then snapped them back as I reached out for them. Let me see your homework. I got the point and instantly turned off the television and rushed upstairs to get my backpack. I'll have it done right away, I promised. No, you'll have it done right, she corrected. Do not rush your homework. I'm going to check everything before I consider it done. The algebra went pretty quickly, but the 500 words were a different story. I didn't know what to write. Like I said, all the cool stuff was classified, so I decided to write about our move to America and the change of culture. Pfft, Mom said after she read it. There's nothing there. That's because nothing happened, I said, except for the FBI stuff, but I can't write about that. Nothing happened, huh? She said. Well, this is your first chance to let anyone at the school get to know you. Not really, I replied. Margaret knows me. She does? Said my mother. When did she get to know you? This summer. My words trailed off when I realized what she was trying to do. I guess something did happen, she replied. I went upstairs and wrote about my friendship with Margaret. I didn't make it all gushy. I just started writing about things we did, and by the time I stopped to take a look, I'd already finished 627 words. Magnifico, Mom said when she read it. If you'd like, I can give you one of the pictures I took of the two of you, and you can turn it in with the essay. Thanks, but no thanks, Mom. Margaret came over the next morning, and we went down into the basement to start working. Agent Rivers had sent 2 envelopes. One had a record of every museum employee who had traveled to Europe on official business over the past 3 years. The other had records of all the auctions for major works of Impressionism going back 5 years. Which do you want to do first? I asked. Let's start with the travel, she said. Our goal with the travel was to figure out how someone at the museum might have met Pavel Novak. Let's look at who went to conventions and expositions, I said. That's the most likely place for them to have bumped into each other. Sounds good, said Margaret. I got this list of them from my mom, I said. She's a member of some art group and gets invited to all of them. The fact that the room was unfinished is what made the underground such a great place to work. We didn't have to worry about ruining anything like the paint on the wall, because there wasn't any paint on the wall. So Margaret wrote the name and date of each convention on separate index cards and taped them to the walls. Now let's see which of these dates and places line up with trips by museum staff, she said. At first, none of the dates lined up, which didn't make any sense. After all, someone had to at least go to some meeting. I got it, I said when I realized what we'd done wrong. The dates on the travel documents are in the American style, and the dates on the events are European. We use different dates? She asked. Well, Americans write the month first and then the day, while Europeans write the day first and then the month. So June 13th is 6/13 in America, and it's 13/6 in Europe. When we fixed this, all the trips lined up perfectly. So in the last 3 years, there were 7 conventions where museum staff went to Europe, Margaret said, looking at our wall. Any of them in the Czech Republic? I asked hopefully. No, she said. 2 of them were in London, and the others were in Munich, Copenhagen, Florence, Budapest, and Warsaw. Okay, so that's where the staff went, I said, thinking out loud. Which ones would Pavel Novak go to? He was a star student at the Academy of Fine Arts in Prague. He wants to find a job. He wants to get hired to paint. Then that knocks out Copenhagen, said Margaret. Because it's a forum for fundraising, and Munich, because it's just for security people. That's good, I said, as I took those lists down. Now we're down to 5. And we can eliminate Florence, too, said Margaret. How? Because the only person to go to that one was a curator named Michael Jennings, she said. And according to the museum's website, he left to work at the Metropolitan Museum of Art in New York over a year ago. We'd cut the list to 4, but it still felt a little needle in a haystackish. We just sat there stumped and stared at the wall. By the way, I said. I wanted to warn you that my mother posted those first day of school pictures of us online, and now all my relatives want to meet you when they visit. So be prepared to get swarmed at the holidays. I can handle it, she said. That's the danger of social media. That gave me an idea. I hopped up and went over to the computer. What are you doing? Checking social media, I answered. I thought we were working, she protested. This is work, I told her. Maybe mothers aren't the only ones who share too much. What if schools do too? I typed in Academy of Fine Arts in Prague. Check it out, I said when the results filled the screen. We spent the next 20 minutes scrolling through all the pictures, posts, tweets, and mentions the Academy had put up. We found what we were looking for in a picture posted 15 months earlier. Alumni get together at Art Fest in Budapest, said the caption. Top row, third from the left, I said. I think that's our boy. Margaret leaned in close to get a good look, and when she turned to face me, she had a big smile. Got him. I got up and went to the wall where we'd taped the roster for the Art Fest in Budapest. Who do we have? She asked. I started reading off the names. Michael Jennings, Kendra May, Ryan Thigpen. The bottom two took my breath away. Who is it? I held up the paper and said, Serena Miller and Earl Jackson. Hope you guys have a good weekend.